The secret sauce really is in how well the sales and marketing teams can work together.
Welcome to Velocitize Talks. I'm Andy North, and today my guest is Andrew Haussegger, co-founder and CEO of Green Hat. Andrew, thank you so much for being here.
Very happy to be here, Andy.
So you founded Green Hat in 2001 and have worked with an incredible list of well-known brands, including IBM, Nestle, Ernst & Young, Thermo Fisher, and the list goes on. Tell us about Green Hat and what sets it apart in the marketplace.
Yeah, we're a specialist B2B agency. We operate down under Australia, New Zealand, across APAC. And yeah, we're very focused on B2B. We work on strategy, implementation of that strategy for our clients.
B2B marketers have heard endless discussions around the importance of having an account-based marketing strategy. But what they may not know is how to actually implement that ABM strategy, to put it in operation and to measure it. Do you have any thoughts that you could share on how to implement and measure a successful ABM program?
Yeah, so we think about 5 key pillars to get ABM off the ground. We've done that. We've done this a few times, and just to call them out, really, ABM starts with a target account list, and that's sort of fairly obvious. But it's there's plenty of times you can get involved with organisations and they haven't worked through that effectively, and we like that list to start to come from the sales organisation and then really be worked through in a collaborative way with the marketing team. So both teams together really define well what the target is, and ABM can be a one-to-one, one-to-few, or one-to-many model. So in some ABM programs we have many hundreds of accounts in those. Secondly, data strategy. So that's been missing a lot in B2B. Having a clear understanding as to what data you want to collect, and not just what you want to collect, but how you're going to use that. So we think about the firmographic and demographic data. Technographic data can be quite relevant as well. So there's various data sources that can feed into that. And then the behavioural data. So putting those things together, keeping it simple, starting with the minimal viable product almost around your data requirements, not making it too complex. But just be clear, because this is the data that you're going to be tracking and measuring and then feeding through to the sales organisation. The next part is about personalisation or hyper-personalisation. So that's using that data to have it as relevant a conversation that you can with the buying party of this target list that you're talking to. Fourthly, I'd talk about orchestration. So the secret sauce really is in how well the sales and marketing teams can work together. And, we want to set up programs where the sales or organisations should be looking to set up programs where the marketing is feeding in an almost real-time way information about how well that target organisation is engaging, so that on a weekly basis, BDRs, QBRs, AEs can be sitting down, going through that level of engagement, and that leads to the final key point is around what we call the account view. So how are we in marketing presenting this almost real-time data that's highly relevant to the engagement with that account to the sales organisation. So there's a summary view as to, if there's an AE and a BDR got 10 accounts, then they want a summary view as to what's happened in the last week with that account, what intent has been shown, what content's been consumed, what themes are they surging on, etc., etc. And then they can be able to drill down into that information to then take actions, and you've got playbooks sitting beside that. So it's a fairly long answer, but it's really broken down to 5 key pillars as far as getting a really solid ABM program off the ground.
You also gave a presentation that included B2B trends for 2021, which I thought was fascinating. One of those was the changing role of the CMO. Why is that changing? How is that changing? And what do you see it morphing into?
The CMO needs to have the left brain and right brain turned on. Now, there's not too many that are built that way that lead in both of those. So really, they need to have a strong team around them. So get good people around them that can fill in the requirements for both those sides both those sides of the brain, both those sides of thinking, in order to come up with the best solution.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it. And I have heard and read several people say that the CMO will now be the CDO, the Chief Digital Officer. Would you agree that it sounds like with your left and right brain point that's somewhat where that's heading?
I sat in a presentation yesterday from a very well-renowned CMO in Australia here, who made a comment that she was thinking that in 5 years' time that the head of the digital, of the MarTech, of marketing itself, was all going to sit under a head of data. So that scared the shit out of me.
So instead of Chief Digital Officer, it's Chief Data Officer.
Yeah. So, and with all due respect to the data people doing a great job, around the science of data and processes, but I wouldn't feel comfortable them driving our customer experience and trying to build together the right emotive and rational, approaches that we have to creating an excellent experience. That's sort of not a skill set we'd be expecting from a head of data. As
of last year, I believe the MarTech 5000 index had grown 13% to 8,000 MarTech solutions, which is amazing. And everyone had been predicting for years that we would at some point hit peak MarTech. But the industry has shown no signs of slowing down. What does this mean for B2B marketing, and do you feel like it's a good thing or not?
Yeah, there's lots of tools out there that can help with effectiveness and efficiency and operational efficiencies and getting more done with less. The challenge is not the need for more tools. The challenge is firstly the selection of the right tools that are right for your organisation, so into your MarTech stack, and secondly the integration of those. And so the flow of data between them in a real-time or almost real-time sense, in order, for one, we talked about customer experience, to optimize the customer experience, and two, to empower the marketing organisation internally to be able to measure, to manage its data, and to be able to measure performance, measure its attribution, so that in real time, almost real time, it is able to optimize that customer experience, and then also and then hopefully for that to be optimizing engagement, and that to be optimizing pipeline outcomes.
No industry exists in a vacuum, obviously, and the digital marketing industry is no different. How has the COVID pandemic changed digital marketing, and what, in your opinion, does a post-COVID world look like for B2B marketing?
As we move into post-COVID and into that new norm, now customers have realised that they are quite happy to sit down and have presentations in Zoom and video type sessions, and actually make decisions make decisions on purchase, which could be quite significant, without actually shaking the hand of the salesperson and the representatives from the organisation from the other side. And we've seen a lot of money go into contract based on digital engagement, and so yes, we'll see the sales organisation back. Getting as close as it can to its the key buyers and decision makers in the buying party, but the sellers will be investing more in how they can drive up that sales that digital engagement.
Do you see AI playing a bigger role in marketing in 2021 or 2022? And if so, what would that look like?
There's machine learning built into some of the automation tools we're already using today, and it's progressively getting smarter. But there is the potential for the future. We all know that we need solid data to support, machines making decisions for us and making recommendations. So as the quality of that data improves, which is a prerequisite for us, particularly in B2B where we have less data than what we have in B2C, then the recommendation engines are going to be able to provide more information to us, making recommendations that we as marketers, marketing operations people can begin to trust. And as we trust it, then we will give the power through to the machine to actually implement that without us actually having to go over and check that.
One of the questions we like to ask our guests is, what's the best professional advice you've ever been given or heard?
it's not actually directly related to marketing, but and it was something I wrote down many years ago that was quoted by one of your past presidents, and I don't know which one, but Calvin Coolidge many, many years ago made a comment about persistence is omnipotent. And regardless of how well educated you are and how much money you have and how well networked you are, nothing surpasses persistence and pressing on. So personally, I've lived by that for many years, and I think there's the times when you're down, but you continue to press on, and you can be surprised by the results.
Is there a book, a blog, or a podcast that you'd like to recommend to our viewers?
So I'm going to be a bit boring here. I'm going to just quote two books. One only 4 or 5 years ago from a mate of mine over there, Carlos Hidalgo, based in the US, an evangelist of B2B, and he wrote a book called Driving Demand. And it's it's 2015, but there's some really good insights into that, for B2B marketers. And the other was a book written well before that by another mate of mine, Hugh McFarlane, here in Australia, who was a great visionary in the world of B2B marketing, called The Leaky Funnel. It talked all around about, gave scenarios around about, what actually really happens in the funnel, and what he was talking about way back in the last decade is still very true today. So there's two good ones to look out for.
That was Andrew Haussegger, co-founder and CEO of Green Hat. And Andrew, thank you again.
Thanks so much for having me, Andy. Have a good day.